Hello there! From behind the O-line, this is a special little episode of Trammin, a Disneyland podcast. My name is Kirk, and today I'm joined by my own thoughts and questions from the audience. So I just wanted to pop back in and say hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard Trammin, a Disneyland podcast. Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding. As a courtesy to other passengers, we ask that there be no eating, drinking, or smoking on board. In just a few moments, we will begin our trip into the Disneyland Resort news and topic of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, this tram is ready to depart. Driver, you are clear.
Welcome back to Trammin, everyone. Happy Wednesday. If this is your first time here, you should listen to a regular episode with me and Rain so we can welcome you aboard Trammin, a Disneyland podcast where we talk about the Disneyland Resort through and only through our eyes. Listen to full episodes every Wednesday for the time being, or topic-only uploads on Big Thunder Thursdays. Head to trammin.com/ask to write into the show and to request access to our Discord. We'll be talking about my Japan trip in the next few weeks, so this is your opportunity to submit your questions. So now, let's get on with the show. Hello, everyone. It's been a minute since we sat down, just you and me. Last time, I believe, was just after my honeymoon, where we did, what was that called? Finding Peace at the parks. So, I wanted to cover a few things, wanted to chit chat for a little bit, wanted to update everyone. So I want to talk about the future of the show, which is still here, of course, and how I feel about Disneyland lately, because people have noticed some fun questions that people have asked. So thank you, everyone who wrote in, and maybe more if it somehow comes up. So on the note of writing in, you got to stay tuned to the episodes where we ask you. Stay tuned to Instagram, unfortunately, and our Discord. Discord is totally free, and we have a lot of fun on there. More fun as the year goes on, and great place to see who you're meeting up with on St. Trammin's Day, March 13th. Sorry, Friday, March 13th. But as always, you can just write. You can ask me anything within reason, anytime you want. I may not answer it, but I'll address it. So go ahead and write in whenever you want. But let's talk about the first thing. Let's talk about how I've been feeling about Disneyland lately. So to start off, before we start with anything negative, Nick H writes in, what's your favorite Disneyland era? So my favorite Disneyland era, for Disneyland itself, not like my life, but Disneyland, early to mid 2010s. So we did an episode called The Way It Was, Disneyland 10 years ago. And it was nice to reminisce about like a truly simpler time. Like it was almost like an analog Disneyland. So there were no phones. Like you had your phone and maybe you took a picture of the Matterhorn, right? But that's like all you could do. And then you'd post it on like Matterhorn Monday, right? And then there were no apps, right? There was, what was it, Mouse Wait to check wait times. But it was like crowdsourced, which could be a good thing. But it wasn't necessary. You would know. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no, what's the Wi-Fi network? You didn't need it. Like, what could you possibly need Wi-Fi for at the time? There were cards, tickets, coins, jewels. You didn't need to scan a phone that can die. You had your pass. You'd scan it at the parking structure. You'd scan it when you got in. You'd scan it for your discount. And there was no mobile order, which mobile order, like Lightning Lane, would probably be better off if there were none of those things. Obviously Lightning Lane you wouldn't need. that would decrease wait times. Go watch Fast Pass by Defunctland. And when you had no mobile order, I don't really remember waiting in long lines for food. So that wasn't an issue. So yeah, you would just go. Like this was even before the Twitter parking update time. It wasn't that bad until like the late 2010s. So yeah, you would just go to Disneyland and enjoy yourself. And even like security was like a bag check in downtown Disney. It wasn't a big deal. And you just wait for the tram under a tree, which is what that artwork was inspired by for that episode. I believe it was 156, because it wasn't 150 for some reason. It was like the 3 years of Trammin, and we're at 6 now. So, geez. So, I could be totally off on that. It could have been. It had to be 156. All right. But honorable mention for a favorite Disneyland era has to be post-pandemic pre-Lightning Lane. So we were like in the pandemic, but not really. That was a good time in terms of Disneyland because while things were cut back, it was just standby lines, chill stuff, no passes. There were reservations, but like you had to buy a ticket, so who cares, right? Even with the passes, it was like okay until Lightning Lane showed up. That kind of ruined everything. And of course, as like the virus died down, people were less afraid to go out. It was safer, less masks, that kind of stuff. So like, it did all change. It was going to change anyway, but it was a brief, happy little time. And that's when like Kimmy and I got to go to the parks for the first time together. So that was also obviously magical. So let's talk about Disneyland lately for me. It's like too much phone, too much money, too much people, which is not grammatically correct. So, like I mentioned, there was no like phone thing back in the day, right? It was just analog. So now you have to stare at your phone, right? You have to mobile order. You have to have it out. Like you could have your like Magic Band, but you can't park with the Magic Band. Can't pay with the Magic Band. So it doesn't like make you experience the park a little better. It makes two things faster. So you got to use your phone for everything, right? You got to wait for it to load. And then you got to check it for wait times because the wait times are so bad. And then on top of that, Genie Plus Lightning Lane. I know it's not called Genie Plus anymore. Lightning Lane Multipass. You got to book the things, right? If you're there at Rope Drop, you could book the things, no problem. But there is the hack that we've talked about where you book and then you modify and then you click on the time again and again and again and again until like one person lets go of one. So you can go from a 9 p.m. Space Mountain to a 6 p.m. to a 3 p.m. to a noon to a 20 minutes from now. So it's great that you can do that, but like I think of the days where Kimmy and I are like, hey, let's go to the park and pay up. But you haven't paid enough because of the Lightning Lane premiere, right? So you pay up and then it's like, oh, we're going to be refreshing our phones all day just to go on rides. So now it's a ride day, but it's not a chill day, even though you don't have to wait in line. So there's like some sick irony there. So that's annoying. All right, especially as I've had my like annoying phone mental break thing, where it just the phone annoys me because everything is cell phone, right? Everything is computer. So as Jeff would say, too much money. So look, I need to be honest at all times. I can afford it, right? But there is the opportunity cost. And I know many people can't afford it, and that's a bigger problem. But I'm talking about me and Disneyland, Kirk and Disneyland, right? The opportunity cost is now very high, which means I spend money at Disneyland and then I don't spend it somewhere else. Or I could have spent it at 2 other places, or I could have spent it on a vacation. So that's where we're getting at now. Like the food costs a lot, and then the tickets cost a lot. The passes cost so much. Two people doing Lightning Lane, $70. So, when you've spent just on going, forget eating, just on going, $4,000 in a year for two people, right? Like, because you count a couple Lightning Lanes, yada yada yada. $4,000 is like a nice trip, right? Depending on where you go. It's a very nice domestic trip, especially out of California. You can get on a plane and go somewhere for a few days in a nice hotel, which is something I like doing too. So it's like, that's like 4 trips for some people, right? Which is it's a big thing. It's 4 new experiences, 4 changes of scenery, 4 breaks from life. Because Disneyland for a local is not a break from life. It's a break from the day. But then you go there and it's not much of a break because too many people, too crowded, long lines, stuffy walkways. And then it kind of feels like things are falling apart when you're there. And we've talked about like the concept of getting nickeled and dimed in your luxury or high-end experiences, or experiences that pretend they're luxury, like Disneyland. So you get there and they expect more money out of you at every turn, and then you just feel like it's a cheap experience. Like going to the fair. You pay to get into the fair, and then the food's expensive, and then they ask you to pay for tickets for the rides and the games, which is what the fair is. But the fair feels like a cheap experience that costs a lot of money. Disneyland is an expensive experience feeling like a cheap experience that does end up costing way more money. So it's not what it used to be. And that's actually true. Like there are people who are like, you say you like the old DCA, but you didn't. And we kind of did. And that old magic is disappearing. Because I did go in my late 20s and it was great. And yeah, my life was a little different, but it wasn't, at least for a long time, it felt like they did Disneyland for the love of the game, right? It became 30% of their income, right? It wasn't always. It was the failing thing, but they had to do it and they wanted to do it. And now it's 60% of their income. And that's their whole business. So they do it for the money. I know there is still that love in there, for sure. You see the little things that they care about. But as a whole, like I know it's always been about money, but when things become more and more about money, they fall apart. So I know, changing of the guard, we got Josh D'Amaro, who admittedly was head of the parks during Trammin, where we were complaining about everything and things getting worse. So we'll see what happens with him. But when things change, that could always be a good thing, right? Like it could always lead to new good things, but new things at the very least. Of course, the influencers too. My God, it's like everything. I said, like, don't turn my hobby into your career. And it's not like watching sports isn't a hobby, but let's say it is, right? You watch sports and then there's sports commentators, but sports commentators do not interfere with you watching sports, right? Twitch streamers, while maybe they can change the way games are made, you can just sit down and play a video game and be completely unaffected by that. Same thing with TV, same thing with movies, like let's say not hobbies, entertainment, right? But with Disneyland, because it's a physical place you go to and people are allowed to be annoying, there are live streamers, there are, everyone's taking a picture of their food with their arms sticking out, doing a dance on Main Street, bumping into you. And like, we don't need that. Disney can get enough free advertising without needing live streamers. They can cause enough FOMO without all that riffraff. So little annoying, very annoying. So they just get in the way. Like you can't just walk around slow anymore. You can't take in the vibes. We used to write about that all the time. People would write in about that all the time. And we have it so good where you could just I faked you out there, right? Where we in the Tram Fam talk about what makes our Disney trip so special. We were able to just like, hey, the walkway behind Grizzly Peak. That's on your Trammin bingo card. And that's like the worst place to walk now. It's so crazy there. And that's like where the families start to fall apart and you can't even make your way through. So yeah, it's a lot of that's just gone. And I don't think it's gone forever, right? But it's like that's what it is right now. And I've been feeling less motivated to go, less excited to go, less you go and sometimes you didn't. You just had a trip. It wasn't a good trip, or maybe it wasn't even bad, but you're just like, yeah, I went to Disneyland, and I don't want to feel that way about this place that has affected my life so much that like I talk about it every week. I wear shirts, I buy books, I watch videos about how it was made and what used to be. And it's just become like a money driven madhouse, I think. So I don't know. It's weird because you see people saying you should be more mindful. You should enjoy life more. You should soak it all in. But it's like at Disneyland, you're just like you're min-maxing your day. You got to get the most out of it because you paid so much money and you don't want your kids to be miserable. You don't want to feel like it was a waste. But yeah, we're just shoved in there like sardines, and I think we have no choice. Maybe that's what it is. But get off your dang phones. Maybe you'll enjoy life a little more, right? So, yeah. But things have changed beyond that. Tiffy Luna writes in. I think, is this the first? No, Nick was the first question, of course. Tiffy Luna writes in, what is the one thing at Disneyland and DCA that has changed that you wish they hadn't changed? I thought a lot about this. DCA, I'm giving like answers I'm really thinking about. A Bugs Land. So it was going to be Paradise Pier. So like, if if you had Paradise Pier, you wouldn't have Pixar Pier, right? And then you'd have like the cutesy music and whatever. But I think you'd still end up with Avengers Campus. So there wouldn't be that big of a difference. And then they'd shove Pixar maybe other places you don't want them to. But I think with a Bugs Land, if a Bugs Land stayed, you'd have the Avengers off in Hollywoodland, off to the side, completely not interfering with your golden DCA, right? Like Tower of Terror still would have gone probably, but that's okay. Like you got to sacrifice one thing. But if a Bugs Land stayed, maybe this would have just been Pixar Park. And that's fine. Like we have Cars Land and we love it, right? San Francisco, I mean, you could have just done that anyway. Pixar Pier, it's there. Pixar Pier's fine. What's it called? Grizzly Peak is, you keep Soarin' because it's Soarin', do California, and then you have your little wilderness explorers. Like they could have, at least a Pixar park is something. I know we just talked about Pixar not being a thing. It's a studio. However, at least I'd understand if it was just Pixar Studios. It's the Pixar park. Everything Pixar is in here. We're playing jazz music all the time. You like jazz? I do. That would have been better because a Bugs Land is Pixar, guys. Of course. So that would have been my thing for DCA. Keep a Bugs Land. It would have done a lot for the park to keep it and just hold out on the Marvel thing and figure it out later. As for Disneyland, my one thing that they changed that I wish they didn't, I wish we still had the Tomorrowland Terrace weekend performances. That was such a classic Disneyland feeling, a nice, like, it could be Disneyland date night, it could be school night, it could just be hanging out, because I was my main thought was how could we have saved Tomorrowland? Save Tomorrowland from what it is right now, not like People Mover. Buzz Lightyear was not going anywhere. But then we got the Pizza Port, which is Pizza Planet now, right? And then we have we had Pixar Fest and the DJs and the dance parties, and it's like it's Galactic Grill. It's not Tomorrowland Terrace, but the stage is. So I would say the Tomorrowland Terrace weekend performances, that would have been the thing to keep around, because live music is always cool. So let's talk about Trammin. I got a ton more questions, so don't worry. But let's talk about moving every other week. So I haven't told. Okay, Rain knows we're moving every other week. We talk. I'm recording this before the Haneda handoff, so I haven't told Rain we should announce the every other week thing, but I'm going to tell him, and we should have announced that already. So Trammin is moving to every other week. So, couple reasons. Because of everything I just said about what Disneyland is now, it's easier for me to make the decision Rain made a year ago, right? It's time to go every other week. So Rain, you guys have noticed we never made like an official announcement. He's on every other week. And that's because we never wanted Tram to become work, right? And Rain started more work. He did Tiki Kingdom, tikikingdom.com. Go buy his very cool Disney-inspired Aloha Hawaiian shirts. So, he got a little more on his plate and wanted to make sure Trammin was still a fun, relaxing thing. And it is. You guys can tell the difference when Rain and I record, and I love recording with other people, and that will continue, and I'll talk about that. But the Kirk and Rain show, right? That's what this has been, and it is still it is Trammin and Friends, and the friends will still be around, but the core of this is the Kirk and Rain show, and you guys remind us of that. I remember when I asked for feedback on the show, only one person wrote in, even though you could be anonymous when you do it, and it was Nicole from Canada, and she had said, like, we just love you guys, and we do feel that, and we love that you guys love our friends now. Freddie, like, you guys interact with them. Freddie does a good job interacting in the Discord. We get the Jeff requests, of course. Everyone loves John. Who can there be a single person out there that doesn't love John? What a nice guy. And you guys miss Kimmy when she's not on the show, and we, of course, we have her back, and she will be back. So Trammin will be going every other week as the guarantee, starting after episode 300. So I wanted to, like, this might be my own fault that we didn't do this last year. That I'm like, no, we got to keep it going every week, right? So I had everyone fill in every week, and it started off kind of easy because Freddie was like, "Hey, Disneyland 70, let's do 1955," and so we did that for like 5 weeks, which is 10 weeks, right? So that made things a little easier. Of course, we got Andrew on, and Andrew will be back, of course, Wandering in Disney. So it started off a little easier, and then it got real hard for me. It got like, I have to find a guest, right? And finding a guest is not hard. I can ask John and Freddie to be on every other week, and they will, right? But it's not just that. It's finding the right time to record based off of like work schedules, life schedules. Because like Rain and I, we can move stuff around if we need to, but we've just committed to, like, this is the day we record. Our families know that. Our friends know that. It's been 6 years, right? So it's guaranteeing that it's like, oh, hey, what time are you able to come? Like, are you able to, get over here to my house? and then it's like, going to get some food or eating before, whatever. Like Rain and I, because it's just been a part of our lives long enough now, there is this routine and cadence, and we know what to expect. But that is like different when it's not your one co-host, because everyone is different, right? And then, um, so part of that was also like finding what to talk about with those specific people versus like saving things to talk about with Rain too, right? It's like, oh, got to record this week, but I don't want to do bathrooms this week because how could Rain not be on Bathrooms of Disneyland? So that was like part of my struggle. But what compounded that was it's been harder to talk about Disneyland in a whimsical way lately. We used to have Disneyland's Familiar Feelings, Disneyland's Pockets of Magic, right? Where I'd get like inspired walking past the Matterhorn or hearing the Tiki Room sounds. But like, one, you can't hear the Tiki Room sounds anymore because it's so busy, it's so loud. But two, it's harder to feel that ethereal, ephemeral magic in the moment at Disneyland. You remember it when you zoom out. You remember it at the end of the day. You remember maybe something happens, right? But those little things have been missing. And I don't know if that's maybe also like a personal problem, right? Like a personal emotional problem. But then also, we've talked about a lot of things. There's only so many things on the guide map that you can go through and talk about, right? We've talked about most attractions. Even when we think we haven't, they were part of the mountains of Disneyland. They were part of Frontierland, or like, can't really do an episode on not Rocket Rods, what's it called? Astro Orbiter, but you can make it part of other things. So I feel like we've done a lot of those combinations, and it's become harder to talk about the generic things. And we love the generic things, right? We finally did the Cars Line episode after years. So is that what I'm talking about? There's some other thing we did recently that I was like, how do we not do this yet, right? It's a Small World holiday. So it's harder to talk about the generalized Disney things, but then harder to find these little magical things. And I'm really hoping like going to Japan, not for content, like for inspiration and finding new ways to look at Disney will help. But hopefully that less of a rush to get the episodes out will lead to higher quality, better topics, better writing. I don't always write the best episodes. I know that. And, when it is every other week that Rain's on, I do the episode stem to stern. I come up with the topic, I write it, I compile the news, that's always been my job, right? And then I call the co-host, I get them to my house. I feed them. I we go into the studio loft. I set everything up on my laptop. I make sure they know what's up. I have to remind them of like little things, because there are certain things like, we always get caught off guard with the outros, right? That's because I have to remind them to do it, and that's not their fault. It's because like Rain knows to do the outro because he's been doing this for 6 years, right? So it's like that the telepathic communication is a little bit gone too. So I do that, and then they leave, and if it's a Monday, I got to edit it and upload the next day. If it's a Tuesday, the day before it airs, we have to record. I need to kick them out of my house. I need to get the episode into Adobe Premiere, edit a video, deal with the errors, have the art ready to edit the video, export audio and video. Hopefully it works the first time, because that's just the nature of this. And then write the copy for the uploads, like the descriptions, upload the art, upload the descriptions. I normally do the audio, Rain does the video. I have to do a YouTube thumbnail, and then like, oh, it's done exporting. I have to upload it. And if it's a Tuesday, I'm at my house, which has 35 megabits upload, even though it's a gigabit down. If I upload at work, it's like 500 up. It uploads in 5 minutes. And if it fails, that's fine. So I have to do that. And then like I got to like shower, because I got to go to sleep. And then, maybe at some point I say hi to my wife because it's so busy. So a lot goes into it. And I do it for the love of the game, do it for you guys. It's become harder and harder over time. And I know Rain has the job of editing, but there's like that split work of I do all the work up front and then Rain shows up and then he puts in all the work, right? So it's this, people ask like, oh, why doesn't Rain write and then you edit and this and that? I'm like, we have a good thing and it works for us and we're both happy with the situation. So I did this to myself. I did this to the show. So of course it's worse in my head. I haven't heard too many bad things. And it comes out and the listeners are the same, but you fake yourself out, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, it was, at some point I'm like, I'm not going to end the show. Right. Like it's drastic measures. And because I talked to Rain about it. He's like, I love doing this show. And he goes, when you go to every other week, you'll feel different. I'm like, okay. So I made a dumb goal for myself. I was like, I want to get to 300 episodes, like uninterrupted. And it's not only 300 episodes, it's a full 6 years, right? Could have given myself the out at 5 years, right? But it'll be the 300th episode will air a day after our 6-year anniversary, on March 18th. So an exact month from now. So I'm giving you guys a month warning. So I wanted to say, you know what? We did 300. We did 6 years. Things are changing, but we're still here for you. And hopefully you're still here for us. But on that note, our friends still want to record for Trammin, right? Freddie wants to be on with Anna and talk about their Disney World trip. I think Anna's never been a Magic Kingdom. I don't know. There's something, right? So they're off there right now. John just got back from Epic Universe, and Freddie's going to go too. So we're going to talk with them. The only difference now will be those will likely just be Traminiverse episodes. We'll see, depending on when they are recorded. So when they're not filling in anymore, right? They've been part of the regular rotation, but when they're not filling in the week without Rain, we can record it anytime we like, and then I can release it anytime we like. So those will release on the alternate Wednesdays. So it will be me and Rain every other Wednesday. And then if it's good, if there's another episode that someone wants to record, there you go. There's your week to week. And that's the funny thing is it's either every other week or like 3 weeks in a row, which is cool, right? Yay for you. I'm giving myself a pat on the back for releasing a podcast. But that's what it'll look like going forward. So you will have more than 25 episodes a year, but you will not have 52 episodes a year. So it's somewhere in between. We'll see what we end up with by 7 years, right? So we'll see what happens. But what's going to happen is Rain and I will be doing numbered episodes of Trammin every other week. And then if people just so happen to fill in between, they will. And I say this is happening after episode 300, like going every other week. But like Freddie and John are going to want to record before then. So we're just going to hold those. And then, it might happen by like 303 might be 2 weeks after 302, something like that. So we'll see. But just know this was a really hard decision for me. And back when it happened with Rain's every other week thing, it was a hard decision for him because he'd thought about it for a while, but was like, no, we do Trammin every week. But what's funny is when we started Trammin, we said bi-weekly, and then we had so much fun that we're like, "Ah, let's do it every week," and we did for 6 years. So we're still here. We're still going to Disneyland. Um, I I hope to love it even more because I do still love Disneyland. Like I love it. I love it like a brother. You know, there will be times where you don't like your sibling, but you still love them, right? Uh, and then you come to like them again. There are still magical moments that I have. Like so recently, when we walked out of Club 33 after the park closed, and you see Phantasmic going on, and the streets of New Orleans are empty, and you feel it, just like when I'm back in Chicago. And it's a good feeling. And it's still there. There is a light that will never go out. I still get the historical reminders, like what was here or um what it meant to build this place, right? Like the deeper lore is what keeps me and that deeper fabric is what keeps me invested in Disneyland as opposed to the fact that it's a cute theme park, right? And if it's just a cute theme park to you, like that's fine. It's probably more to you because you're listening to this crazy show, but it's a little more than that, and we're still around. So what's not around is this write-in for my cousin Alex said, "Why did you not do the intro I wrote for Freddie?" And Alex, you know why? It was hard. Sebastian wrote in though about the show. Did you picture the show as it is today, back in year one? So technically, sure, because it was going to be biweekly. But I don't know if I thought it would even go this long. We didn't even have that thought in our minds. We thought we'd hit our 42 listeners every week, and then it was never going to go anywhere after that. And then it didn't blow up, the way we'd want it to. But it got much bigger, and what we got is something we never expected. Is this little community that we have, like having like 20, 30 people at a meetup, new friends that we've met from the show, new hosts, new co-hosts, like more than just guests, a wife. Like I am only married because Kimmy found Trammin. And so that's something I'm obviously going to be eternally grateful for. And it gives the show a deeper meaning to me. It's my license plate. I'm the Trammin guy. I got it. I got the shirts. I got the stickers. I got the car. I got the girl. Like it is part of my life. It defines a part of my life. So, yeah, I never thought it would lead to any of this, like people making artwork and like making these friends all across the country, across the world. Um, friends of friends listening, people listening from other countries, writing in, looking for us, wanting to meet us, wanting to take a selfie, not wanting to take a selfie, and just saying hello. So it led to I did not picture it this way. I don't know if I thought we'd ever even get good at it. And honestly, I think we're good podcasters. Um, Shout out to the guy who wrote an email a little while ago, saying something about we didn't even know what the berm is, and then that we got woke. Shout out to you, my friend. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show and enjoy life. Is love having you all. So don't ask me about that. I didn't reply. All right, but thinking we'd never get good at it. Dane writes in, "What's your deepest fear?" So my deepest fear is failure. And it's an irrational fear. It it keeps me from doing things sometimes. Like I have a task. And I go, if I fail at this, it'll be catastrophic, like catastrophizing. But it's only with tasks. And I feel like I don't feel like this. My brain does this, right? Oh, well, if I don't start this or finish it, sure, I failed. I don't even, it's not even in the subconscious. But my brain tricks itself into thinking like, oh, if I never finish it, I can't fail at it, right? So that's my deepest fear. It's probably stopped me or given me writer's block because I'm like, what if I write a bad episode? And it's like, just write the episode, right? It's like, you guys like the bad episodes. It's funny. Like, the whole joke of like, you spend all this time doing something and people are like, that was cool. And then you're like, here's the dumb one. Everyone's like, oh my God, that was so fun. You should do that again. So yeah, you gotta just do it. That old slogan from Shia LaBeouf. So, speaking about doing more, Will from Ohio gozaimasu, writes in, have you thought about doing an episode about tiki bars? I'd love to hear some in-depth reviews on some. So Will. We definitely have thought about that. We haven't just thought about it. We are going to do the tiki episode. We did tiki at Disneyland, right? That was a little while ago. The thing about doing a tiki episode is you gotta have Freddie on it, right? Although thinking now, it's like Rain and I could do tiki, right? And then Freddie and I can get more in depth about tiki bars. Like Rain and I would do like Love and Tiki, right? That was like Lovin', like Trammin, but Love and Tiki might be that might be a good title, actually. I'm gonna write that down. Write that down. But like Freddie has like that, like with Love, it's not expertise yet, right? But it's deep knowledge because he cares about it. Freddie has a deep love and appreciation for tiki bars. He's worked at 2, been to many, and been to too many. No. So getting more in depth about history, stuff like that, that could be something cool. Oh, by the way, I had the thought while talking, and I'm like, I got to put this later. I said I do the episodes stem to stern. The Freddie episodes, the John episodes too, actually. They do write a lot of the episodes I have them on because it's their idea. I'm like, hey, I don't know what you want to talk about. Go ahead. So I want to also give credit to my guys, to my boys. The episodes they are on, I send them the Google Doc, and then John sends me a screenshot of the Google Keep app. But they do write a lot of, if not most of it, and then I go fill in the blanks. Or if I don't fill in the blanks, I go read it and fill in my thoughts in my head, ready to go. So 1955 episodes and the Eureka episodes. Eureka was like back and forth. 1955 majority Freddie, because Freddie's he's got like the bullet points, right? And then I go, oh yeah, I could do 10 minutes on that right now. So I want to give them a shout out. They do put in the work. So it's not all on me. But in the end, it was too much for me. Yeah, we will. AJH writes in, how far are the Ducks, the Anaheim Ducks, making it? Side note, I'm thinking Dosti secures a bronze for Czechia. AJ, the Ducks were gonna go all the way this year. We're gonna be putting rubber duckies in the cup once again. But then they removed the Wild Wing statue from the pond, from the Honda Center because of construction. I assume he's going back, but we had a bronze statue of Wild Wing, and he got removed in December, and we got the curse of Wild Wing. So we got to put it back. But this year, dude, no idea. But JD wrote in and said, what is your favorite Winter Olympic sport and why is it hockey? Dude, One, because I love hockey. Two, I don't care about the Olympics anymore. They're so corrupt. It's so like ultimately pointless. Like, I'll just say we're not in a time to like point at other countries and be like USA #1. Like, I'm American. It's like this like internally proud to be American, but like I'm not wearing the Uncle Sam outfit this year, and I want to. I want to say that I want to, right? I want a better America. I want to feel patriotic every day, like I used to. So I don't want to get into it at all, but I want people to wake up and say like, isn't it so great that we live here? That there's nothing wrong, and there will always be something wrong, but we're not in that time right now, and it's not just because of one person. I will say that too. It's a collective thing. So, yeah. So I just that used to be a bigger part of the Olympics for me. Curling's also very cool. Luge is fun, but I don't. The Olympics are less cool when you're older because you realize like how much it sucks for the country putting on the Olympics and how much of a mess it is and how incompetent everyone is. Yeah, not big this year, and it's going to be going on while I'm in Japan. So I don't know what I'm going to be able to catch, which is hilarious because I have Peacock Premium for the first time with my Apple subscription. If you're like, wait, what? Yeah, you can get it for $11. Let me know. I'll tell you how. Yeah. So, but it is hockey because hockey is the best sport. Listen, you tell me whatever you want. It's a sport with the most heart. But I will say baseball, most romantic sport. How can you not be romantic about baseball? So let's bring it back to the show. I actually did have a structure. Thank you everyone for writing in and helping me out. Sebastian says, dream guest, not Disney, but brought on to the show to talk about Disney. So I have two. One is like, I feel like I could email him and he'll come to the show. So it would just be the first ever like rated R episode of Trammin. That would be David Jaffe, who is the creator of Twisted Metal and God of War and a few other things. So David Jaffe, he does a thing. He does his own thing now. He's like complete loose cannon. He goes on Last Time Media all the time, but he has his own thing. Lives in San Diego. He often like brings up that he goes to Disneyland and like he'll talk trash about like what I think he even said Bob Iger, Bob Chapek one time, right? He'll talk trash about things and institutions and whatever, but then he'll be, but I love taking the kids to Disneyland. And, so maybe him, maybe Brandon Jones formerly of Easy Allies and Game Trailers. I feel like Jaffe would be down just because he'd be like, all right. But that's like for another time. But I had to think about this one because I don't really think about this, especially like non-Disney people. But I think Ryan Gosling would be fun because you guys got to look up Ryan Gosling talks about Haunted Mansion Holiday. What an interview in a parking lot. So because of that video alone, I'd love to talk about Disneyland with Ryan Gosling. And because wouldn't it be fun to talk to Ryan Gosling? Shout out to that guy, the little goose. All right. Taking it back to, and we did have like our Dream Disney guests, right? We had Defunctland on. What a treat. Kevin Perjurer. Okay. Will from Ohio wrote in on Discord. So first he wrote on Instagram, so thank you. Then he wrote in on Discord, where I also asked. And he asked Apple versus Android, opinions and reasonings. I've never had an iPhone, and lately I've been contemplating my next upgrade. Not anytime soon. Very responsible of you, Will. So I was the Android guy. I was the Pixel guy. Like the guy was me, and I was the guy. Uh, and I loved it because of everyone loves to say freedom, customization, um, something Apple sheep. I never got into that. I was never the fanboy. All right. But I loved it because I loved tinkering with everything and breaking my phone and resetting it and putting dumb apps on it, making it look ridiculous and being like, gotta go back to stock, right? And probably my favorite phone I've ever owned is the Pixel 4a, which was $229, made of plastic, no wireless charging. RIP in peace. So the reason I went to Apple is, of course, there's that allure of iMessage, right? Like I was the Signal guy forever. Like Kimmy and I used to talk on Signal because it was the only, like, you could only send like high quality images and reply and react and video call on Signal, because I wasn't going to do that on Instagram. I don't have WhatsApp, and I don't have like foreign family that I talk to. Definitely not Facebook Messenger. So like, what else was I going to talk on? So there was the allure of iMessage, right? I even got an iPhone for 3 days once and I didn't like it, but I didn't really put my all into it. But what happened was I had a Pixel 6 and that thing was so buggy, and like so buggy that you would turn off location and then it would say that it was just on. And that's not even like evil Google thing, right? I think it was like, even if it wasn't on, it just bothered me that it said it did all the time, because it should just work. And that was the thing with Apple, right? It just works. It just works. I had the Google Home. I had the smart home based off of the Google Assistant. RIP Google now. RIP Google Assistant. Because it's all Gemini now. But then I got really into privacy, and like shifted to like Brave Browser, Proton Mail, Proton VPN, Bitwarden, Password Manager, still in the Signal. And it's one of those like, oh, and like, blocking things on websites, like hide my email from the websites, not from people. And that was all not, guys, it's me. What do I have to hide, right? I tell you about my life every day or every week. It's that even if you got nothing to hide, no one deserves to know everything about you for free unless they're your friend. So why would I give all this information? Anyways. Apple. I was like, you know what? Maybe now is the time. And like right when I was like, the Pixel was annoying me, it was in March. Apple released the Alpine Green iPhone 13 Pro, the most beautiful green you can ever put on a phone. So I got that. I had to go all in because I'm like, you got to go plunge head first. I'm going to keep this phone at least a year, right? Till the next upgrade cycle. So I did. I turned on iMessage. I FaceTimed Kimmy and she was like, what? I got the Apple Card. Why not? I started using Apple Home and Siri. Eventually got a HomePod. Apple Maps. I went all in on Apple Maps because Google, the privacy thing. The mail sucks. I wish I never turned it on. Moved everything to like notes and reminders and Apple Calendar. Apple Photos took a lot longer because of Google Photos. What else I got on here? Didn't dive in with the watch until way later. But that's gone now. Sold it. Yalla bye. News kind of sucks. iCloud, I kind of use it now. Passwords I use there too. But yeah, I was like, okay, go all in. Go all in on Apple. And it was really good. People loved iMessaging, of course. Everything worked. Everything works together very well. And then I got like an iMac, not iMac, what is it? A MacBook Air M2, and everything just works. You like copy from the phone and it pastes on the laptop, and then your messages are there. I just got Jeff to get on Mac, and he's like enamored with it. And he and I know more about half the stuff than like even someone like Rain, who's been on Mac forever, because we're the dorks who look up all the things. But also, as I got older, I cared less about customization. I cared less about tinkering and more about like I want to be the old man that turns the thing on and it works. And it was like that with PlayStation and whatever. And Kimmy just came home. And hello. And um, it yeah, it just became easier. And now it's a buggy mess again. But that's fine. But yeah, if you got more questions when it's real, let me know. But Kirk L writes in, what attraction are you looking forward to the most in Japan? It's got to be Journey to the Center of the Earth or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea because they're the most like one. They're Jules Verne, right? But it's stuff we don't have here. It's IP, but not really, right? And then I read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, so it's the most like SEA adjacent. I'm excited for, but I'm like really excited for Magellan's because of that too. And on that note, the Disneylander says, "Can you sneak me in your bag? Yes or yes? Probably because I'm gonna pack light and then buy clothing. Um, so hop in, dude." Um, Sebastian says, "Top 3 films right off the dome." Okay, I gotta think about that. Let's see. Um, let's see. Number one is Tron Legacy, of course. And number two, um, let's see. What is my number 2 film? I don't even know if I have a top 3 films. Oh, hold on. There was something like Gene, Diego, they know. Tron Legacy. Let's throw 10 Cloverfield Lane up there because it's such a good one. So we'll throw that in there. And number 3. I don't know. It's like it's not. I'm just like Lego Movie was good, right? But that's not a top 3 film. Uh, oh, let's do Grand Budapest Hotel. Why not? What a good one. What a good one. All right. Jimmy S writes in. What would be your choice for the next movie or TV show based on a Disney park ride? Oof. The reverse IP. Um, I don't know. Reverse IP, reverse IP. We had Jungle Cruise already. Technically, there's a Matterhorn movie. Oof. I don't want the Space Mountain one. They're gonna taint it. Screw it. Let's do Matterhorn with the Yeti or the whatever. Let's do that. Yeah, Matterhorn. But assuming we won't get a new non-IP based ride in an existing U.S. park again, could you see it happening whenever a new park opens in Anaheim or Orlando? I want to say yes, right? I want to say they'll do one. I think they'll do one, just like the racers in the ride that kills people in Epic Universe, a Stardust. I think we'll get one. For a new park, just to say that they did, right? They want to flex a little bit. But even like Cosmic Rewind was going to be Space Mountain. And then they're like, do Cosmic Rewind. So Jimmy ends with, thanks. Going on a baseball trip this June to see the Orioles play the Dodgers and catch a game in San Diego, but probably not stopping at Disneyland along the way unless they create some one-day deal. Maybe next time. But for all you out there thinking about coming down here, March 13th, like I said, St. Trammin's Day. It's happening. Kimmy writes in, my wife, what is next on your travel bucket list, both a vacation spot and trip spot? Okay. So just because we keep saying we're going to do this, I want to go to Aulani. I do. Because I want to go back to Hawaii so bad. I love Hawaii, guys. We don't need to get into all the problems with that, right? I love it though. It's still in this country, which is very easy. If not like one of those little islands with the huts, like Fiji. So Aulani for sure. Like that's gonna happen. I'm just gonna do that. Trip spot. I want to go to Canada. I want to do Vancouver or Toronto. One of those. It's got to be during hockey season because I got to go to a hockey game in Canada, right? That'll be fun. And then, and just buy an NHL jersey, like stupid, like some All-Star jersey, like the Rob Lowe NFL hat. So, yeah, those will be the two: Aulani and Vancouver. Let's do Vancouver because it's gonna be beautiful, right? Like we can go see forests and things. Yeah, so that'll be that. So the final question comes from Dane. What's the meaning of life? And to that, I say to enjoy it. With that, thank you all for listening and traveling with me today. See you real soon. Bye.
Thanks for traveling with us today, and we hope you have a happy and memorable visit to the Disneyland Resort. Please lower your head, watch your step, and exit to the driver's right-hand side only.